What do you actually need to make music? And what I mean by that is I just was literally, while I was bouncing a track here, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw a picture, and it was a little meme, and it said, "What you think you need to produce to be a producer? What you think you need to produce music?" And it was a picture of a big analog console, lovely studio, synths up here, synths over there, compressors, EQs, all this sort of stuff. And then underneath, it had a picture of a desk with a MIDI controller, a laptop, and a pair of speakers. And caption read, "This is what you actually need to produce music." And I looked at that, and it kind of spurred me on to this question. And it was, it's true. It is 100% true. As a producer, right? You don't need, like, if you was a producer in this room, it's a luxury. It's lovely. It's beautiful. And working on an Avid S4, it's great. And it would be brilliant for any producer, and you would never ever knock it. But you're talking 150k later. That it's not something that an everyday producer wants to spend 150k on. But do you actually need it? No, you don't need none of it. You do not need any of it, right? You don't need a big door controller. You can use mouse and keyboard perfectly fine. You don't need a massive analog console. You wouldn't ever need that. You do not need any of this. You don't even need synthesizers, analog synthesizers. They're great. They sound great, and believe me, they do. They sound amazing. A Moog does sound brilliant in comparison to a Moog emulation, but factor in all these different things of recall and all this stuff and creative process. When you work just the most simplest of rooms, like I know multiple producers, right? I know loads and loads of producers, composers. The best ones have a MacBook. They have a MacBook laptop. Some have the MacBook Studio. Then they have MIDI controller. Then they have a pair of speakers and a good interface. And that is it. Everything else is what's on that MacBook. What's on that MacBook Studio, for instance, that Mac Studio. What's on there? Synthesizers, samples, EQs, compressors, all the kind of in the box stuff that's great. Honestly, that's all you need. You really don't need, as a producer, to come out the box. If you're recording vocal, you can get away with running into your preamp on your interface. You'll get a great sound out of that. But a real nice mic, real nice preamp, you are going to get a superior sound to anything that you would record directly into, let's say, for argument's sake, a UAD Apollo, maybe not a UAD Apollo, but let's say a Focusrite Sapphire, for instance, a real kind of cheap one. You're going to get a better result using certain pieces of hardware there. But when it comes to the music production, working on music production, it's far easier for you to work 100% digital in a real slimmed down studio compared to working with analog consoles, synthesizers, EQs, compressors. It's all luxury items. You don't need it. You really don't need it. And it is 100% true what this kind of meme was showing, is what people think they need to what they actually need. And you'll notice, if you look at even the big stars who have clearly accumulated a lot of money through their music, they're still on relatively simple setups, because they know they don't need all this other stuff. They really don't. You just don't. And you will achieve a better result working just on a real simple setup. Because, like, one of the worst things I ever did when I used to write a lot of music was I bought a Moog Voyager. Now, it's got a very particular sound, but I spent a lot of money on it, and it sounded brilliant. I always tried to put it into everything. I tried to put it into every single song. I tried to use it as much as possible to warrant the fact that I'd spent all this money on it, and it stumped my productivity. And yeah, I wasn't as creative when I had that. I'd have great fun playing it. It was brilliant, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend. I really would recommend to have the most simplest of production setups possible. Great, like if you want to buy something that's a lot of money, buy a great interface with great ADDA converters and great monitors, and then put a Trinnov in to get your room sounding great, and what your monitors come back out, what your monitors are playing is perfectly correct. That's all I would really recommend doing, and have a great computer that's going to just be powerful enough to power all your in the box plugins. And really and truly, you don't need all the big analog stuff. You really don't. It's luxury. It is luxury. Even a studio like this, which is, digital console, you don't need it. It's a something that for me is highly saves a lot of time, because I'm not on a mouse and keyboard, but it saves me a lot of time mixing, because I can fly around a console like I would fly around an analog console. So for that purpose, these things are really, really good, but they're not necessary. They're luxury items that, if you've got the money to spend on them, by all means get them. Get yourself a great sounding room. But as a producer, just keep it simple as possible. Best producers keep their setups very, very simple.